What's up everyone, Chad from the Snow Phoenix here. So I've been playing Pokemon for over 20 years. Man, that makes me sound old. But anyway, I wanted to start sharing some of my playthroughs and challenges with you guys. I love watching others play and all the different kinds of strategies that they use, and I'm hoping that I can provide some of that same entertainment for all of you. I decided to start with a solo run, and while I was thinking of what Pokemon to use, I went to some of my favourites, but the only issue there that I had was I didn't want to go with something really overpowered to start with, so I kind of went in the middle and decided to go with ABSOL. So today we're going to find out, can I beat Pokemon Emerald with only one ABSOL? It's a pretty decent Pokemon, so its stats are solid, mostly focused on its high attack. By level up, it learns a few moves that are going to be crucial to this run. Bite, Sword Stance and Slash will be our main weapons in battle. We also got a nice wide range of moves that we can learn by TM, so plenty of type coverage there. A couple of rules: aside from only being able to use ABSOL, I'm also not going to use items in battle. Only held items and items outside of battle are allowed, so basically I can heal in between trainers, but not during the fight itself. To start off with, I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to swap Trico for ABSOL. I thought that would be the hardest option, with Torchic becoming part fighting type later in the game. I name her Ootly, because that is ABSOL Ootly hilarious. That was bad. Unfortunately, we are a modest nature, which does decrease our attack, but we may need the special attack boost for some type coverage TMs. After making my way to Rustboro, I decided to take a shot at Roxanne. We may be able to brute force our way through with Quick Attack and Razor Wind, but we couldn't even make it to Nose Pass. I'm going to have to grind to level 21 when we learn Bite. I try again now with Bite at our disposal, and it's a completely different story. We OHKO both the Geodudes, and after a bit of back and forth, we tank a couple of Rock Tombs and power through a potion to take down the Nose Pass and win our first gym badge. Time for the second gym. We aren't strong enough to two-shot the Machop, so it gets a couple of hits in on us. When we make it to Mokuhita, we manage to get it into the red, but we've taken too much damage and get taken down. We leveled up during the fight, so I might just grind one more level, get Sword Stance, and try again. At level 26, I try again, this time with Sword Stance in hand. I start with a Sword Stance and two-shot the Machop. I decide to go for another Sword Stance against the Meditite, and it counters with a Bulk Up. We OHKO it with a Bite. Mokuhita time. A Bulk Up and a Vital Throw nearly takes us out, but we hang on and get the win for our second badge. Our rival battle with May doesn't go to plan. Even with 3 Sword Stances, we can't deal enough damage to Combusken before being taken out. I'll beat all the surrounding trainers and try again. At level 30 and with all 3 Sword Stances set up, we barely two-shot the Combusken to eventually get the win. I make my way to Morville Gym, and after crushing Wally, we head inside to challenge Watson. A combination of paralysis and confusion against Magneton is too much to handle. We're only one level away from Slash, so I'll grind to get that and try again. Things go so much smoother on attempt 2. After setting up with a couple of Sword Stances early, we easily OHKO his team with Slash. We did get a crit against Manectric, but I don't think that mattered. Now it's time for the first of the Evil Organization leader challenges, fighting Maxie on top of an active volcano. Don't know why they thought that was a good idea, let's send this kid up there, but anyway. After a couple of Sword Stances, we managed to OHKO his entire team despite some sand attacks causing a delay. Alright, now it's time to take on the 4th gym, and finally, we get one on the first try. After setting up on the Numel and the Slugma, we managed to OHKO her entire team. That did include crits on both the Camerupt and the Torkoal, but hey, a win's a win. On to the 5th gym and time to take on Papa. We one-shot the Spinder to avoid Teeter Dance, and a potential misplay sees me get hit by a counter from the big boy slacking to take damage, but luckily we survive and manage to OHKO the rest of his team pretty easily. After a quick pit stop to take care of the Weather Institute and defeating May, we make our way to the 6th gym in Four Tree City. After being able to fully set up with Sword Stance on the Swablu, we OHKO the team and everything is going smoothly until the Skarmory comes out. The main reason I wanted to get +6 with our Sword Stances. I try with a Bite to get a bit of a read of damage and it doesn't do as much as I'd hope. We get hit with a Sand Attack and I start to worry, but a crit Slash takes it down, allowing us to OHKO the Altaria and win the 6th badge. Now it's time to deal with some Evil Organization shenanigans. We cruise through Mount Pyre and the Aqua Hideout and can make our way to one of the biggest challenges in solo runs. Tate and Liza in the 7th gym. I want to have the black glasses to boost our Bite, but confusion could be really dangerous. I didn't actually know this, but the only way I could challenge them I had to have 2 Pokemon in my party, so we've got Magikarp and we're ready to go. I start off trying for a Swords Dance and we take a little damage from an Earthquake, but the Swords Dance and Black Glass's boosted bites are strong enough to one-shot her Claydol, Solrock, and Lunatone. Now it's just the Xatu, and of course we get confused. I try for another bite and we hit ourselves in confusion for big damage. Another hit here and we are finished. I switch to Thunderbolt and break through confusion, but our lowest special attack isn't enough to OHKO. Fortunately, we snap out of confusion and finish it off with a Thunderbolt on the next turn, winning the dreaded double battle of the run. Time for some more Team Magma and Aqua stuff, starting off with the Space Station. With the help of Steven, we take down Maxie and his admin partner. We're immediately hit by Mighty Anna's Intimidate, which lowers our attack right from the get-go, so our slash doesn't even hit for half its health. We get hit with a Swagger and regain more attack than we lost, but now we're confused. We hit ourselves in confusion when going for a Swords Dance. Luckily, we snap out of confusion on our next turn, and this opens the door for us to take down the evil duo. Now it's time for Archie, as he's trying to awaken another one of the legendary Pokemon to expand the sea. No idea, but anyway. So he leads with Mighty Anna, so once again we start off a battle with minus attack. He also goes for a Swagger, which confuses us. We hit him for big damage before he heals, but we end up hitting ourselves with confusion and take massive damage. We break through on the next turn to knock it out. Crobat is next, and it hits us with an Air Cutter, leaving us in the red. This could be trouble. Luckily, we break through confusion again and OHKO it with a Thunderbolt. Sharpedo comes out and hits us with a Slash, barely not finishing us, and we go for Thunderbolt. Snapping out of confusion to one-shot it and win the fight. That has got to be some of the best confusion luck that I've had for a long time. At any moment we were gone if we hit ourselves again, but that was close and we got the job done. Now the world is in chaos. So after running around all of Hoenn and doing the work of the authorities to solve the crisis, it's finally time to take on the 8th and final gym. In hindsight, I probably should have used the Shockwave TM instead of Thunderbolt in case Kingdra gets up to its usual double team shenanigans, but if I can set up enough on the rest of his team, hopefully we can OHKO it before it can get set up. Does anyone else get some Squid Game vibes from the ice floor here? Luckily, no one's there to push me through, so we escape unharmed. I use Swords Dance on the Love Disc, which luckily misses a Sweet Kiss. I then take it out and decide to set up fully on the Whiscash while it uses Amnesia. We get hit with an Earthquake, but easily tank it. Now that we're set up with a combination of Slash and Thunderbolt, we OHKO his entire team. Then Kingdra, one of the most painful Pokemon in this run. I go for Slash, and we get a crit and knock it out in one shot. I'm not sure the crit was necessary, but we will definitely take it. With that, we've secured all 8 badges and can finally take on the Pokemon League. While making my way through Victory Road, I always forget that Wally shows up right at the start and not the end in this game. Our fight goes pretty smoothly, we don't take any damage and OHKO everything except his Altaria, which goes down in 2 Thunderbolts. We make it to the plateau and it's time to prepare to take on the Elite Four. Here's our stats before we challenge them. I use some of the PP ups to increase power points of Slash and Thunderbolt. I'm not sure if we need Ice Beam for Drake or not, but I want to give it a try with our current moveset and strategy and have that as a backup. Let me know if you would do anything differently, and more importantly, do you think we can win? First up is Dark Trainer Sydney. He leads with Mighty Anna, which has Sand Attack that could give us some problems, so I set up with a Sword Stance and he indeed goes for Sand Attack. Fortunately, we break through it and hit a Slash to knock it out. Next up is the Shift Tree, which knows Swagger, so this could be another issue. Luckily, we break through our accuracy issues and hit our Slash to one-shot it. Cacturne's next, and our accuracy luck does come to an end. We get hit by a Cotton Spore that lowers our speed, but we take it out on the next turn. Crawdaunt comes out and we miss our first Thunderbolt and it goes for a Swords Dance. We hit it on the next turn though and take it down. Finally, it's time for the mirror matchup. The Battle of the Titans. It goes for Swords Dance as we miss a Slash. It gets a second one in, and if we miss this attack, we are in big trouble with a +4 attack beast staring us down. Fortunately, we connect on the Slash and finish him off. Next is Ghost Trainer Phoebe. She leads Dusclops that can both confuse and curse us. I should have gone for a Swords Dance in hindsight as it managed to get off back-to-back protects, but fortunately we one-shot it on the next turn. Next is Bayonet, so I decide to go for a sword stance while we get hit for a minimal damage Shadow Ball. One charged up bite is enough to one-shot it. Next is Sableye, and all it can do is hit us with another resisted Shadow Ball before being taken down. Another Bayonet, and this one suffers the same fate as the first one, being one-shot by a bite. Her last Pokemon is another Dusclops. Despite some resistance and a berry, we only take small damage from an Earthquake and finish it off with a second bite to win the battle. Third on the list is Ice Trainer Glacier. Her first Celio is probably the best to set up on, so I go for 2 sword stances while she sets up Hail. Fortunately, she doesn't go for Encore on the second as we get hit by a Body Slam, allowing us to switch to Slash and one-shot her Celio, and Glalie, and her next Celio, and her next Glalie. Finally, her Walrein comes out. This thing knows sheer cold and could ruin our run with just one lucky hit. But luck is not on her side as we hit a Slash to one-shot it and clinch the battle. The final member of the Elite Four is Dragon Trainer Drake. This is probably going to be our most difficult fight to beat. He has bulky dragons including a pseudo-legendary and has good setup with Dragon Dance and the pesky Kingdra with Smokescreen. Our best shot is to set up on the Shelgon and try and sweep through his team. We do have Ice Beam, but I think if we play our cards right we can get by without it. He leads Shelgon and I begin to set up, predicting a Protect for a free sword stance. We get hit by a Rock Tomb to lower our speed. Unfortunately, this means his entire team will outspeed us. We Oko the Shelgon and the Altaria comes out. It hits us with the double edge before we can one-shot it. Next is Kingdra, and I get worried it'll smokescreen us. Instead, it uses Surf and crits, taking us down to 8 HP. We take it down, but we can't afford to take any more hits. Flygon is next, and unfortunately takes us out with a Flamethrower. I'll give this another try with less setup on the Shelgon to hopefully avoid a speed drop. On our next attempt, I only go for the one sword stance and take down the Shelgon before any speed drops. This doesn't matter though because Altaria gets a crit Dragon Breath that paralyzes us. What is that? We manage to take it and the Kingdra down, but again fall to the Flygon. I know I can beat this with some better luck in regards to crits and losing our speed advantage. Our third attempt goes much differently. We get our first free sword stance in, but it gets a second Protect off to block our Slash. On the next turn we must get a low damage roll and we barely don't Oko it as it goes for a double edge. Drake uses a full restore which allows us to get another sword stance in and securing our victory. We then one-shot the rest of his team to finally defeat the Elite Four. Alright, champion time, and this one could be a bit trickier than it usually would be in normal runs. He leads with Wailord, so I get a sword stance in while he sets up Rain. A Thunderbolt then barely doesn't Oko it, and he heals. I go for a boosted Slash and get a crit to take it out. Tentacruel is next, and this one worries me. I equipped Ootly with a Pecha Berry as this thing knows Toxic, but it doesn't go for it, instead hitting us with a Rain boosted Hydro Pump for massive damage. We eventually take it down with Thunderbolt. Ludicolo is next, and a single Slash is enough to deal with it. Whiscash is up, and I go for another sword stance thinking it would use Amnesia, but instead it goes for a Surf, putting us in the red. We end up taking it down, but now we're in a very precarious position here. Gyarados is out, and we get hit with its Intimidate to lower our attack. Fortunately, a 4-time super effective Thunderbolt is enough to one-shot it and take it down. Now it all comes down to this. His ace Pokemon, Milotic. We have to one-shot it. So I go for Slash hoping that the Intimidate attack drop doesn't hold us down too much. And we get a crit to Oko his final Pokemon and get into the Hall of Fame. Oh, what a run. But this run still has one more obstacle left. I want to at least attempt the post-game Steven fight in Meteor Falls. I replaced Thunderbolt with Flamethrower to try and counter his Steel typing. Our special attack isn't the best, but we don't stand a chance with just our Bite and Slash physical attacks. On our first attempt we actually did pretty well. We nearly Oko the Skarmory with Flamethrower, forcing him to use a full restore. We then two-shot it with Flamethrower without taking any damage. Armaldo is a bug rock type, so I wanted to see how we'd go with neutral damage Flamethrower. It does about 40% of its HP, but we take some hits from Ancient Power and he gets an Omni boost. Despite his low HP and a burn, he doesn't use another full restore, even though Steven's got 4, which lets us take it down. Claydol comes out, and after a couple of bites, we take it out. However, any hit and we are finished. Aggron comes out and we go for Flamethrower hoping for a one-shot. We only do just over half, but it uses a Solar Beam, so we take it out without being hit. Could we actually do this? He sends out Cradily, and I go for, well, you guessed it, Flamethrower, but we don't Oko and finally get taken down. We got so much further than I thought, and hopefully with some tweaks and a few more levels, we can actually do this. Attempt number 2 at level 88, and we actually do much worse. Skarmory goes down in one hit from Flamethrower. Because of this though, Steven uses the full restore on Armaldo and we get taken down to the red. We take it out, but all Claydol needs is one Earthquake to finish us off. For our next attempt, I decided to replace Slash with Carmine. It's going to be sad to see Slash go after carrying us for so much of this run, but all of his team resists it and we are going to need the special attack boost to finish him off. We get a low roll with Flamethrower as he sets up spikes. I predict a full restore and go for a Carmine. We OHKO it, and I decide to go for another Carmine on Armaldo. Unfortunately, the double boost isn't enough to one-shot it, so we take a decent chunk of damage before eventually taking it down. Claydol comes out, and with the boost, I go for Flamethrower instead of Bite, and it's not enough, so we almost go down to an Earthquake before finishing it off. We do OHKO the Aggron, and eventually go down to a Giga Drain from Claydol. I really think we can do this, so I decided to grind a couple more levels to get to level 90 and give it another go. We OHKO the Skarmory and start with a Carmine against Armaldo. He uses Ancient Power and of course gets an Omni Boost. Why wouldn't he? We go for a Flamethrower and get a Clutch Burn, allowing us to take it down on the next turn. Next up is Claydol, and we one-shot it with a Bite. Beautiful. Aggron comes out, and I decide to risk another Carmine. He goes for Earthquake and leaves us with yellow HP before we OHKO it with a Flamethrower. Claydol is next, and one Flamethrower isn't enough, and it hits us with an Ancient Power that barely doesn't knock us out. We take it down on the next turn, and out comes his ace, the pseudo-legend Metagross. I press Flamethrower with fingers and everything crossed, and we managed to one-shot it, taking down Steven Stone, putting the icing on the cake that has been this awesome run. This was a really fun challenge. I've never really played with setup style strategies before, and mostly just concentrated on either switching out for type matchups or inflicting status conditions like poison, paralysis, leech seed, all that sort of stuff, particularly in early games, to help get the W. But it was great to have to think of different strategies and plan for all kinds of scenarios to beat some of the trickier battles in this run. Thank you so much for watching. Would you guys like to see more challenges like this, or maybe different style playthroughs? This is the first one of these challenges I've ever done, so please let me know what you thought of it in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, remember to like and subscribe. So the answer to the question, can I beat Pokemon Emerald with only ABSOL? Absolutely I can.